Hey everyone, this is Olay from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. Welcome one, welcome all back to another episode of Edu Steps powered by Laddering Your Success. As always, I am Olay here with my good friend Festus and Olay. Festus, how you doing, bud?
Man, I'm doing excellent. I'm really happy that I finally got my Facebook fixed so that those who join us on Facebook Live can hop in with us, and also just excited to be here today, man. Except, one thing that really was getting under my skin, man, and this is, parent talk. Yeah, I'm trying to take that after church nap, man. I got everything ready, laid down, and then kids just kept waking me up. I'm like, dude, I got 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get this nap in. Oh, no. Start waking me up on just the most irrelevant nonsense. Daddy, I pee-peed. Why are you telling me this? What do you want from me? You know what I mean? And not just, oh, let me tell you once. No, let me tell you again and again and again. Anyway. But
breaking news.
Exactly.
Special report.
Exactly.
Zag pee. And as always, we're here with the future doctor, Dr. Jamark. How you doing, bud?
Hey, happy to be here with you guys.
Man, always good having Jamark. Hill may or may not be here. He's taking care of some family stuff. He's getting ready to travel. That is, of course, the ambassador. But I was going to say, yeah, it feels good to be back on Facebook Live. We were about almost a month. We was in and out of there trying to figure out how to get up in there. But thankfully we were able to come back so we can live stream on Facebook and all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. I was sitting here and I was trying to think. I'm like, of course, for those of you who do know, good. If you don't know, on the 24th of June. We're going to be at Houston Community College, A-Leaf campus, basically Westheimer and Hayes for NAMC's 12th annual career discovery. We're working with them. We're working with Houston Community College to help 16 to 24-year-olds get access to different people working in different avenues, different career fields. They can sit there, talk to them, touch them, feel them, look at them, ask them questions about what they've done, how they got to where they got, how do they know this is their calling or what they're supposed to be doing, what were they good at in high school, all those wonderful questions. We have info sessions for parents. We've got panel discussions with people who've done great things in business. And so we're getting ready to do that. And in that process, we kind of had a chance to use a lot of the things that we've learned in our 5, 6, 7 years doing Laddering Your Success to kind of to apply a lot of the things that we've learned along the way. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think man, what are we going to talk about today? I'm looking at the content calendar. I'm trying to think. I'm like, man, we've done this, we've done that, And I'm like, I took a break. And I guess I kind of got it from Social Proof Festus, where they kind of do that thing where they they go back and they just talk about, the journey, so to speak. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's do that. Let's talk about the journey. Because, when you're on the journey to success, a lot of times you don't sit down and just talk about where you are. You don't realize where you are in the journey. And so I was like, you know what? Let's sit down and let's just talk about our journey. Where are we? How we got here, and how we think and how we plan, right? And so for those of you who don't know, and if, Festus can give you a longer version, this was all started by a book. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I would say it actually started from a conference.
A conference, okay, go ahead.
A conference that led to a book that led to what we're doing today. So
yeah.
So back when I was kind of transitioning out of the military / still in the military, just doing youth ministry. And so we had almost half of the youth were all of a certain age, all about to turn 18. So we end up having almost 9 kids who were all turning 18, about to graduate high school. And it was okay, what you doing? I don't know. What you doing? I don't know. What you doing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And so it's like, golly, none of these kids know what they're doing. And the scary part about it was, to be honest, a lot of their parents weren't doing too well, and a lot of their families weren't doing too well. So it was like, okay, when you are in a situation where it's like, okay, this kid doesn't know what they want to do, but also their parent is not really quite doing anything to prepare them. It was like, okay, how can we prepare them? And so had the idea of school days was the name of the conference. I think we should definitely bring that back, but which is interesting because I just seen some posts about some youth conference. I'm like, okay, how do you not hear about them in the city, whatnot, So, but anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So the school days conference, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do a small little conference. Man, y'all about to get some background story, like some. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just basically do this little thing where I talk about school for a month with the youth on like midweek. You know what I'm saying? We'll just talk about like the transitions, and I'll invite in some speakers, and like some speakers were like, nah, I ain't coming because churches never do good in terms of bringing the youth out, blah, blah. So really interesting, just the back and forth. And I'm like, But long story short, got majority of it kind of set up. I took it to my pastor. I'm like, yo, and this is how the thing even really got to me. After asking all those kids about what they're going to do, there was a movie that came out on, I think it was CNBC, and it was like college, the cost of admission, and it was talking about the student loan debt crisis, which is crazy because you can't even find that movie at all. But wow. it was laying out all the stuff from student loan debt. I was like, man, it's crazy. And like me, being from my situation, student loan debt was one thing I was trying to avoid, but also it's like, okay, my parents were big on college. How do I figure that out and get there? You know what I'm saying? So I took it to my brother. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do this little thing. He's like, oh, great, do it in front of the whole church. And like at this time, I ain't no public speaker. I ain't got no like real training. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. No, you're gonna do it in front of the whole church. Big mistake, bro. So I was like, okay, let me see how to figure this out. Okay, I'm gonna ask this person to do the speaking. I'm gonna ask this person to do this. I'm gonna do like a little Q&A, and we're gonna play this movie. The movie's gonna be, I'm not gonna play the whole movie. I'm gonna play like a 10, 15-minute clip of the movie. From this point to this point, to just warm people up on the topic so we could get into it. Got there, the projector didn't work. All this stuff started happening. Just like horrible. So the whole schedule was thrown off, and it was like, just keep going. You know what I'm saying? And I've never ran any kind of anything before. Man, I almost cried on stage. That's how bad it was. And then the pastor shut it down in the middle of the thing. He was like, and I'm like, and he's like, I'm like, okay, that's it. And I went bawling crying after that. I mean, crying, horrible crying. I'm like, man, I'm a grown man crying, So, and I'm like real active soldier at this point, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, man. So pain, I still feel it.
It's so funny, man, because it's like, and this is why I was like, this is a great thing to talk about, because for a lot of young people, the hardest step to take is usually the first step. The hardest step to take is usually the first step. And so just so you guys can get like a little bit of context, at this time, I'm probably still bartending. Definitely still bartending probably around this time, right? Or either, I could have just been bartending or.
I think you were, no. At that point when I did the conference, you were at the job you hated.
I was still doing accounting work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. So I was, I'm in accounting. I'm working at an accounting place. Actually, not too far from where it is right now. I was down in the dumps. I think the only thing that kept me going was the money. Usually is what most people. I kid you not. I used to take my couch, move it in front of the TV. I had to be at work by like 8. I would be watching Sons of Anarchy till about 7:45, 7:50. And then I go, all right, I guess I get ready for work. I couldn't do it. I just hated it so much. you know, it was one of those things I had fallen into it. I just fall into accounting. And so I'd get up, go to work. And, you know, my boss, I had a really good accounting manager, but our top boss, she didn't like me. I didn't like her. And so, yeah, that's where I was. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going, Festus. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was, like I said, at that time, you were at that job you hated. We did the conference. And like I said, the first day was awful, because it was in front of the whole congregation, all the stuff. I wasn't ready for it. And then I was like, okay, I guess I got to just push through the rest. And I said, okay, forget it. I'm just push through it. Well, because this got me interested in like that movie, and the kids got me interested in like this whole thing, I started really looking at the data, and it showed how 30% of African-American males don't graduate from college. It showed how around 40%, 45% of African-American females do graduate from college. Now that's of people who actually go to college. Then it talked about the student loan debt, how at that time, the average student loan debt was like $38,000 a year. I mean, $38,000 after graduation. Well, that is average for all graduates. If you really look at it for minority students, you're talking about $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 because of the lack of financial literacy. And so I just started pondering, man, what could I do to help these kids? Well, lo and behold, after our 4 days, my whole abysmal thing, my goal was to help these 9 kids, right? And out of those 9, we had 1 go to the military. We had 6 or 7 all go to college. So it's like 70, 80%. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I was like, golly, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are good numbers. You know what I'm saying? Now, who went on to graduate? I think it was only maybe 3 or 4 of them went on to actually graduate from college. Now, and for me, I can't, you know, and I was no longer in that church, you know, 5, 6 years later, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's only so much you can do, but it really got me intrigued on like how to help these kids. And so that's when I started, and at the time I wasn't even I was in college. I didn't graduate. So at the time, since I'm in college, I'm like, man, this is interesting stuff. So what I started to do was make all my research about it as much as I could. So if they were like, yo, we need you to write a paper, I would write a paper on like the likelihood of Black males graduating, or the likelihood of this, or socioeconomics and this and this, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what my research became. And so finally, I think you were transitioning from that job, you transitioned to bartending. And I think you had been bartending for maybe about a year and a half. I don't even know if it was that long, but I was getting ready to graduate, you know.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that even though the cost of college can be daunting, the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook can assist you in realizing your dreams. You can identify and apply for scholarships using the information, advice, and resources in our comprehensive guide. Also, we've provided a template for a successful scholarship essay to help you stand out from the crowd. Don't allow student loan debt to control you. Get your copy of the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook right away to take charge of your destiny. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to that fire conversation.
And so as I'm getting ready to graduate, I got all of these essays that I've been putting, you know, just different essays. And so there was, you know, in the student center, there's tutors, right? So I went to one of the tutors. I'm like, hey, you know, I've come to you for my schoolwork. I'm thinking about writing a book. Would you edit it for me? He's like, yeah, sure. You know, and we come with a little contract, you know, that's so much per 100 words or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, that's reasonable. And then I take the essays, I start just stacking them together. Like, okay, this is gonna be this chapter, this is gonna be this. Okay, I need to write something totally brand new for this. You know, so then I just get it together. Okay, submit it to the guy. He's like, okay, does the edit, send it back to me. I edit it back, send it back to him. I edit it, send it, you know, back and forth. We go back and forth about 4 or 5 times. I'll say 3 to 5 times, and got it done. And I'm like, okay, so now I got this like manuscript, you know what I'm saying? So then I'm like, So, and this is why I'm so big on college for minorities, okay? Now, listen, I'm not saying you have to go to college, but I'm big on college. Now, at the same time, I'm also big on technical schools. I'm also big on any form of education that's going to improve your life. But I think the thing about college is college requires critical thinking so that you could process yourself through problems, right? Very hard problems at that. But this was the thing. So one of my professors, who ended up becoming like a mentor to me, I started a club for leadership at college. He gave oversight to the club for leadership. I don't know how me and him got to school because he was, shout out to
English.
Dr. Garbarino. What's that?
He's the English professor?
No, he was a history professor.
Oh, history, sorry.
And nobody liked him. All the other students didn't like him. You know, they were like, oh, he's the hardest professor on campus, da da da. I don't know why. I was like, this is cool to me. So, Dr. Garbarino and I, we sat down and he, you know, we're kind of going over ideas. He's like, look, I'm looking at this website. So he introduces me to Pat Flynn. He introduces me to, what's this guy's name? I can see his face. I can't remember his name. Just these guys who are online bloggers and online aficionados, right? And so, give me one second. So he introduces me to all these online people that teach you how to write books, get them published. Well, the thing is, and this is why your circle's so important, because one of our friends, Jeremiah, had already self-published 3 books. So I took the information from Pat Flynn on how to build websites, how to gain traction on that. And then I hollered at my homeboy, Jeremiah, who had published multiple books. I merged that information, came back with a book. So got the first rough draft copy of it done. So, and I guess this is where you don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm walking around with this copy of this book, and fast forward, that was probably about 6 months before I graduated, 3 to 6 months before I graduated. I'm walking around with this copy of no. Yeah, it's 3 to 6 months before I graduated, yeah. And so Dr. Garbarino asked me, he's like, yo, what you gonna do next? But the way he asked me that question was very, very different than how most people do. You know, you say, oh, I'm about to graduate high school. What are you gonna do next? You know? And what that brought me to was, because of my situation, you know, my parents had passed away. I was helping raise my sisters, da da da. I realized that this was the first time in my life I wasn't responsible for anybody outside of myself and my wife. You know, we're married, but you know, she does her own thing. So I really sat down and prayed, and I realized I have a window in which I could actually chase this thing. You know, I'm married, graduated, you know, I make okay money. We didn't have kids at the time, you know what I'm saying? So I got a small window in which I could chase this thing. And I'm like, okay, let me see. So now this is where I gave you a copy of the book, and your reaction to the book was huge to me, right? And if you want to kind of talk about that and kind of lay that out.
Oh yeah, because that happened at like a really, I was definitely bartending at the time. And so at that time, I'd been laid off. One of my good friends was like, yo, this is the good opportunity for you. You need to go get your MBA. I'm at Rice. You know what I'm saying? I can help you out. When I go, you can go and study for the GMAT. You can use all my old GMAT stuff, this, that, and the third. So I did, you know, I was studying. But even as I was studying, I was just, you know, I was still trying to figure out like, all right, this is your opportunity to do what you're supposed to do. Essentially, I was trying to find my purpose because I wasn't working in my purpose. And so I'm studying for the GMAT, but I'm not 100% in it, because I think deep down inside, I kind of knew that this wasn't it for me. You know, it was almost like, I hate to use this analogy, but like the couple that's going through stuff, the married couple that's going through stuff, and they're like, well, maybe if we have a kid, this will help us out. This will help us. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe this will help
That
us.
is not the answer.
No, don't do that. Do not do that. And so, I take the GMAT. I did horribly on it. And so I'm like, oh God, I can't even get a good score on the GMAT. I don't even know what to do with my life, man. You know what I mean? Like, gosh. And so Festus told me about the book launch. Because remember, you had the book launch event at HBU, right?
Correct. So at that time, because I had, just been telling people about this book, like, hey, I got this book, read this book. I just said, man, let me just do a little launch right outside of the bookstore at HBU.
Yeah.
I just got a little table and was just like, hey, this is my launch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't know a thing about what I was, but I was watching the little Pat Flynn's and the other dudes videos.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is what they say, do.
So do it, yeah. So, I didn't get a chance to go to the book launch, but I remember you ended up giving me a copy of the book. And I remember I tore through that book. I still remember it. It was like this feeling of like King Arthur in the court when they found the Holy Grail. It was like it laid out so many things just like right there for you. And it broke everything down from like, not even antiquity. It broke it down from like a granular perspective. Like, this is where this came up. This is where this came into, and this is how it relates to like where you are right now. And I was like, yo, this is it. And I was like, bro, this is it. I remember saying, this is it. This is fire. This is fire. This is fire. And I think, I don't remember the exact order of these things, but I do know that right around the same time, my dad is like constantly in my ear telling me, Yinka, Region 4, they have the teaching class. You can become a teacher. I'm like, dude, leave me alone. Like, stop. You were a substitute teacher. I'm not trying to do that right now. I ain't trying to be no teacher. Because in my mind, immigrant parents, look, you just need to go out and take this job because you're not going to be sitting around here doing nothing with your life. So I'm like, whatever. And so I remember I was watching my own videos, like how to find your purpose. This is your calling, da. And I kept making these lists of the things that I was really good at, right? And it's somewhere in storage, but it's like, I would always put, I'm good at helping people. I'm good at leading people. I'm good at teaching people. And I'm good at taking people from point A to point B, or taking a bad situation to a good situation. I'm good at helping people. Same thing, kept looking. And the word teach kept showing up, right? But being Mr. Oblivious, I'm just like, it is what it is, right? Teach, whatever. And so one day I'm driving home from a shift at bartending. So it's like 3 a.m. And I still remember, I don't think I'm ever going to forget this, but I hit the curve. There's a weird U-turn that you had to take. And as soon as I kind of passed the UE, I just stomped on the brakes, like, boom, stomped on the brakes. And I was like, yo, dang, I need to be a teacher. It just hit me just like that. And so, I drove home. It was funny because I just drove home. I just sat down, like, it was almost like I surrendered myself to the not the fatality, but I surrendered myself to the
moment,
to the idea, or just accepting the fact that, hey, you're supposed to be a teacher. That's your calling. And so I remember the next day I called my dad and I was just like, hey, Dad, I signed up for the Region 4. ACP program. He's like, dude, you know what I mean? If I'm like, in retrospect, I'm like, if you would have just been like, hey, you're you teach well, you should be a teacher, I would have been like, okay, maybe. But I did that. And so I think maybe a day or two after that, I called Festus and I called one of my other best friends. And then like initially the first thing they said was, oh, that's what's up, what you need. And so both of y'all both gave me like money. You was just like, how much you need? And I was like, I don't know. And I think you maybe give me like $150. Y'all both gave me like $150, $200. That was the money I used to buy like the books for the program. That, you know, they got me started in my teacher certification program. And so from there, I think I was just so in love with the book. And then I think we had a couple conversations about like what you wanted to turn it into, what exactly you wanted to do with it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm here for it. And so you want to tell them a little bit about it? Because I think from there, we started doing Sharpstown. Was there something in between? Was there something before that?
No, because what happened was, no, you're right. I think from there, we pretty much started doing Sharpstown. So, because I think at the time, a guy who was doing something with youth at Sharpstown was like, yo, Sharpstown's in need. They need mentors. They need this. They need that. And I was like, okay, I'm already over here quite a bit. And I was like, let me go see. And so from hearing, you know, what these guys said, they said, look, if you write a book with material, whatever your material is, you got to get people to test it out, see if it's worthwhile, you know. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe the kids can go through the book and they'll let us know what's good.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. You know, if there's one thing I love, it's something free. I'm talking free 99, un gratis, no shipping or handling fees, no gotcha fees, nothing like that. With that being said, if you're graduating soon or thinking about college or need a nudge or help to decide, then our free ebook, 10 Things to Think About Before Going to College, has a very balanced and open-minded way of presenting your next steps. It captures broad topics in a personal way by giving students an insightful, interactive, and reflective source of inspiration. It is very beneficial to be able to visualize some of the concepts after high school and apply them directly to you. We all know life, college, and career planning decision-making choices for students can be challenging, especially as they near the completion of high school. This book will provide you with a self-paced guide to your success beyond academics and into real life. Not only is it free, you can complete this book within a week. This will definitely prepare you for long-term success. To get your free copy, simply go to lys.com/students. I mentioned it was free, right? Well, if I didn't, it's free. Like, for real. Okay, back to the podcast.
And so, you know, we signed up as volunteers, but it wasn't just myself and Olay. I think it was 5 of us. It was like 4 or 5 of us. It was me, you.
Did Esther? Was Esther? No, I'm not sure if Esther.
No. Esther
I know Buki. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Osagi. Yeah,
and I think there was somebody else that was a 5th person who started with us, but they fizzled out after a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
But basically, the 5 of us. Oh, and this is the other crazy part. I want to get into Sharpstown, but there's so much other stuff that happened. So
yeah.
So part of it was wrote the book, took the book, gave it to Dr. Garbarino and a wristband. And so, you know, like I say, he's kind of my mentor professor at the time. And he was like, so this is what you're going to do. You know, that question he asked me, what are you going to do next? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to just go do something with this book. You know, I'm thinking about making an app, He was like, yeah, you definitely should. And I was like, why do you know, I was kind of lacking confidence. I'm like, why do you think that? And he was like, listen, you came to me 6 months ago with a book idea, and now you're back with a book. You have you're just graduating. He was like, I see students who come 2, 3, 4 years later and they've done nothing. He was like, so go do this, you know. And he thumbed through the book and read some of it. He was like, yo, go do this. So that became a big motivator. Well, in that time we're at testing and whatever at Sharpstown, or getting ready to, comes up a Professional Young African Association. They're like, yo, if you got a business or an idea, come up, pitch your business or idea for like the first 10 minutes of this meeting, right? So they were doing these monthly meetups. So I'm like, all right, bet. I guess I'll just go pitch it. I'm like, yeah, you know, I got this book. It's called Laddering Success. You know, just whatever. And
Why
so
you sound like a character off a Chappelle show.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, because it's like humble, like I don't even know what I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, guess who's there?
Wesley.
Right? And guess who else is there? Al. So this is where
wow. I didn't even know that.
This is where I actually met Al at. And he's like, yo, like, this is dope. Like, I see what you're doing with the book. Like, yo, man, what if we go into the schools together? This was actually what kind of launched in the Sharpstown. So me and Al, I'm like, okay, bet. So I meet both of them. Well, Wes gives this great presentation on purpose-based businesses. And I'm like, this guy has a point. I want to be a purpose-based business. I don't want to just be any business. So I give him a copy of the book and I'm like, hey, yo, let's link up and I'll buy you breakfast. And this is just a lesson for anybody who's listening to this in the future. If you're a young person and you're trying to get in the door with an older person or trying to get a mentor, right? One of the tips is buy breakfast, okay? Why buy breakfast? Because breakfast is always cheaper than lunch and dinner. And usually the meetings are actually really kept short. So when you go into a 3-point agenda. Number one, you talk about them, right? What are they into? How to meet them, da, 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 da. Number two, you ask what you can actually do for them, right? And then number three, you give a soft pitch in whatever your idea is, right? And this is something that I learned from my pastor and then also previous videos and stuff I watch. So I kind of do that with Wes. We go to breakfast. I'm like, yeah, did you get a chance to look at the book? He's like, yeah, it's a good book. So we're talking about his business and how he's launching businesses and startups. And I was like, yeah, I need that. And he's like, yeah, we're building apps. I'm like, yeah, I want to build the app, So I'm like, yo, what can I do? He's like, hey, look, you can sign up. This is how much it's going to cost a month. And then I'm like, okay, this is more money than I want to put in this thing, but hey, okay. And just another business tip, you're going to invest money into your business, consider it investing in yourself, right? And if you're not willing to invest money into your business, then more than likely you don't want it to succeed. And if you don't want it to succeed, then why should anybody else care about it succeeding, right? So be ready and willing to invest your personal money. I'm not talking about these rich, I'm about to be very blatant here. Rich Caucasian people who go and take millions of dollars from people lying about a product that they'll never build in the first place. Elizabeth Holmes, okay? Theranos, you're scammers. You're the worst scammers because guess what? As minorities and Black people, we go pitch businesses that we've already built up, we've already tried, and they're like, no, you need to go a step further. Where businesses like her, you know how many businesses they could have funded off of the money that they gave her? You know how many communities and lives they could have changed off the money that they gave her? Yeah. And she only got 11 years in prison, while Eric Garner, for selling loose cigarettes, gets murdered on the sidewalk. So let's talk about it, right? Yeah. Anyway, that's my little, I got to get on my soapbox for a moment. But yeah, so then Al said, yo, I'm going into this other school. And then I was like, okay, well, we'll take Sharpstown because they were actually two of the worst schools in the district at the time. And so me and I would talk from time to time, yo, what's happening in, what's the name of that school? Yates. So he's at Yates. We're at Sharpstown. So we're comparing notes and talking about it. And hey, who's doing what? Yates, Sharpstown. Now, Yates ended up being a pretty big win for him for several reasons. But long story short, yeah, that's how we got into school and start testing out the material in front of students. And so, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how far we've come.
Yeah, man, it really is because we started making really good connects early on. I remember people with Baylor College of Medicine. For me, I love working with the kids. So I just love how this is 2023. This had to have been, this was like 2017, 2018?
Yeah, 2017-ish.
Yeah, but it had to be 2017 because I started teaching in 2018.
Yeah, this is 2017-ish.
And this just goes to show you something. Festus loves learning about like trees, like great groups and how they're funded and who like came from these different groups. So you'll hear him reference a lot of like Rockefeller and the Jay-Z, Kareem Biggs, Dame Dash, the Kanye West, Beanie Siegels, Freeways, all of those trees. He likes to see where it comes from. For me, I love working with the kids and I just love listening to them and talking, being with them. And I still remember this young girl, she would get in arguments with the other students because she was from Tennessee. And she was like, y'all Houston rap is trash. Y'all don't know about no rap. Tennessee, we got good artists. Y'all rap is trash. And I'm like, really? Who are some of the artists? Right? Who are some of the artists that you talk about that you like over there? And she would say things. I still, no lie. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, April 18th, 2018. I still have it on my thing. I always used to take notes.
Oh wow.
She said the Savages, Kenny Money, Mundo, Moneybag Yo, Finesse 2 times, Young Poppy. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was just randomly looking it up recently. And I was like, yo, Moneybag Yo is like one of the hottest rappers right now. I haven't looked at any of the other ones, but I was like, it's just crazy to me.
I think Finesse 2 times is too, yeah.
Oh, I think, yeah, I think so. So I was like, yo, it's just so crazy how, there's this thing that Miles Monroe used to say. It was something like, when you work in your purpose, and you are always, especially when you're working like teaching, when you're working with young people, they keep you in the loop. And that was just it.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And so they just keep it. And so that was just like mind-boggling. We made so many real cool connections. We got to meet great people with like Bridgeyear, like I said, BC and Baylor College of Medicine. We got to meet, do you remember the group that we did where they funded? You're gonna know it better than me. We went not Grad Cafe. We met up at the center.
Oh, you mean you're talking about Bridgeyear? No, not Bridgeyear. You're talking about Capital Idea?
Capital Idea, thank you.
Yeah, Capital Idea.
So we met, the folks at Capital Idea, man, and that was part of the heart of what made me come up with this, was just thinking about all the wonderful people that we've met throughout our journey that are in like mind with us in our mission and what we do. One of the things that, I think Festus does a good job. I'm still working on it, or Festus may say he's still working on it, is when we're so pure-hearted when it comes to the things that we do. When I say pure-hearted, I mean, we're doing them because we genuinely, this is our passion, this is our purpose. We really want to help people. And so when people, a lot of times, and this is really, really good notes for those of you who want to get started with your purpose or whatever. A lot of times when you get started on what you want to do, there are going to be people who are in the same area, the same vein of what you do, but they have been, what's the correct word? I don't want to say contaminated, but they've been affected a little bit by their environment. Let's say that. And so they still love what they do, but there may be something extra that they ask you for. They may ask you to compromise who you are a little bit, so they can be beneficial for both sides. Just be very, very careful when you get across to things like that. I think that's one of the things we kind of do. I think that's kind of where we are right now. I think we're like you say, Festus, we're very, very close to really breaking through and really being a name and a group that people start to turn to and look to for things. But I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is not compromising on your values, not compromising on that mission, your vision that you set for yourself, because that is what runs everything. And once you compromise for one little thing, you're now open. It's like a big old wall, and there's a little leak, and there's a plug holding the leak. But once you compromise just a little bit, it's like you just open it up and you open yourself up to compromise yourself for anything. And that's one of the things I really think about.
Yeah, I think 100% is one of those things where it's like you said, is like once it's planted, once the seed is planted, you cannot determine how it grows or when it grows. And so that's why you have to be really, really careful on how you do things, because there's a lot of people who I think they might be well-intended, but they are doing a lot of harm and they don't really realize it, from teaching things that nobody in human history has taught, from compromising these kids at such a young age, where these kids don't know how to read, right? So this is one of my biggest issues with the current education system as it stands is you have students who don't know how to read, who don't know how to do math, but you're putting ideas in their head that they can never challenge again because they don't have those basic functions. Now, to me, and this is the worst part about it, you're supposed to be the institution or the people who actually teach them how to read. See, and this is where it's like really scary to me, because it's like the difference between indoctrination versus actual education, right? So if I'm educating you, I'm uplifting what you're concerned about, and I'm teaching you the resources and the things that help you learn what you want to learn. I'm not telling you, this is how you should feel about that. This is how you should go about doing things. And then not even giving you the basic education that you need for you to actually explore those ideas on your own. Like, to me, that's a very, 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 and I don't think people realize how dangerous that is, right? If it's kind of like if we talked about making bombs, right? And for just, for this sake, and it's okay, let's talk about making bombs, right? And we started making the bomb, right? And as we were making the bomb, right, there's instructions to the bomb, and I only read half the instructions to you, right? And then I gave you the bomb. I'm like, okay, now take it home. And some of the instructions could be don't shake the bomb. Next thing you know, you're hopping and skipping. I'm happy I got a bomb. And you don't really realize like how dangerous ideas can be without character, right? Without purpose. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I believe education is at now, where these kids don't have purpose. They don't have character. They don't have social emotional learning. They don't have these things that are really, really necessary to propel them into the future, but they have a lot of ideas in their head, and they think that they can succeed off the ideas. Yeah. And to me, that's a recipe for disaster and failure, because one of the things that's hardest in life is to have an idea, to learn a thing, and to not know what's missing, and then try to implement that thing and not know why you're not getting a result. Yeah. And I think that's what's frustrating a lot of these kids and a lot of these young people now, is they're frustrated with adults. And like, why are these kids so rude and so disrespectful? And it's like, imagine 10, 12, 13, 14 years of your education journey where you feel lied to, but you don't even know where the lie is. And you don't have the mental capacity and resources to be like, no, I looked up the data. Yeah. I looked up the research. And, so.
No, yeah, absolutely, brother. Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. These days, many families are busy, but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast. Don't worry, Crawford. I know you've just been sitting here listening to the story time with Festus and Olay, but we're going to get to how you got involved, because I know eventually 2018 I started teaching. And so that was good for me because I got a chance to find my purpose, work in my purpose. But then I got to also kind of see how our kids, how they develop the be no do, if you will, right? Where they get those ideas, where they get those things from. And it really wasn't until, and by this time we've already started working on the app, putting it in. I think we had already brought in Clio.
So in 2018, this is where Wes said, hey, you need a team to do this. And these are the essential elements of your team. Marketing, somebody tech, he's like, we'll handle the tech. And I think it was sales, right? But then we needed somebody who could do product development to get the app going. And so I think in 2018 is when, we did meet Cleo. Thank God for Cleo. Shout out to him. What's this guy's name? Oh, goodness. Alex. We met Alex.
Okay.
Shout out to him. I had started a radio program in 2017? I think it was 2017 with a couple of homies. And that's where Esther came in, right? And then, man, just fast forward. Oh man, it's wild. So I'm gonna just say, if you're watching right now, you got a dream in business, just keep pushing. People are gonna come, they're gonna go. You're gonna have to let some people go because they're not the right fit. Some people are going to challenge your vision, your mission, and you got to stay true to that thing. So continue. You want to?
Yeah, for sure. And so, through that, we've done like a lot of different events. We've partnered with a couple of different groups. We've gone to a couple of places. Shout out to Nancy. I mean, they've really looked out for us, and they've really invited us to a lot of. I think we've done the most things for them, probably.
One of our best partners. Yeah. Definitely a growing relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Crawford, do you remember the first time that we mentioned, because I know you came to the Office Ranch for an event that was like it may have been the happy hour. That may have been the happy hour that you came to. I think it was a happy hour. And then I don't know if I just happened to, it may have been you or Hill. I sent out something about the call that we do on Zoom, because I think, geez Louise, we got to look and see the first time they came on. Hill and Crawford, I mean, it's.
So yeah, I think they came to our initial launch we did when we finished the app, Labor Day of 2019. Right. So, and this is where, so Labor Day of 2019, we did a soft launch on the app. And so I think we had maybe 8-10 people show up, to see the app, what it was about, got good reviews there. People were like, yo, y'all are doing something. I think that's where, Crawford and Daniel came, and thank you guys for the support always. And yeah, man, it just, no, was it Labor Day of 20? Yeah, it was Labor Day of 2019, because I remember wearing a mask because COVID was happening. And it was like, who's trying to launch a business? Who's trying to launch something in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah,
like,
I think I remember now. Yeah.
Almost nonsensical, you know what I mean? But I think it gave us, those challenges helped us out, because it made us change how we were building the app, change how we were doing the lesson plans. And all of those things became really, really helpful to us. And so, yeah.
So I remember.
Yeah, I want to hear Crawford's perspective on things.
All right, yeah. So Hill been on it way before I have, because I remember being told about a call on Sundays at a certain time, but I really didn't know what it was about. I didn't have all the information. And so Hill, being the advocate as he is, he's like already spreading anything anyone has that they're trying to do for themselves. He's always like spreading. So Hill would tell me, hey, Sunday 2:00, we had this meeting, something. But he wouldn't tell me, like, I don't think he knew like the details to tell me. So I'm like, what is this man talking about? I don't know what he talking about. I'm like, all right. And so I never came. And then once me, Hill, and Olainka became closer, that's when he was saying, hey, if you guys have time, come to this event that we're having with teachers. And so I showed up to the event in support of Olainka, and got there and met Festus and everything, and the information that was presented in the meeting was pretty cool and aligned with what I love to do, which is help. For me, it's specific for young boys and young men be a person of encouragement and positivity, role model, and things of that nature with for young boys. But this aligned with me because y'all have aspects of character and purpose and things embedded in what you guys are offering. So it was really, really amazing. And so yeah, so that was cool. And that was about like the app, and I learned more of what you guys are doing. But I still didn't really know. I still didn't really have the information on what's going down in these meetings on Sunday at 2 o'clock. So after that, it was okay. Whenever event will come up or something like that, Olay would tell me. But Hill would constantly mention these meetings to me every so often. Like, yo, you coming to that meeting on Sunday? Or I hear Olay and Hill overhear them talking about this meeting. I still don't know what they doing in this meeting on Sunday at 2 o'clock. But I'm like, all right, no one has told me exactly what it is. And then one day, finally, Ale finally gave me an invitation. He was like, hey, if you ever get the time, come meet with us on Sunday at 2. And I say, man, what is the meeting about, man? Because he'll been telling me about this meeting so long. No one has told me what's going on in this meeting. Like, what is this meeting about? And so that's when they finally told me, the details of what they're talking about. And then in nature, I was like, okay, cool. But me, like, I'm always work oriented, like I'm always studying. So he finally gave me the information, but it still took me a while to come on. And I think it was the second time he invited me. Hey, just want to let you know, if you ever got the time, just come on, join us on Sunday. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make the time. I'm gonna set a reminder, because once I start studying, I lose track of time. Set a reminder, and that's when I came. And when I came and I heard what you guys were discussing, I was like, "Oh shoot, this is exactly my forte right here. This is exactly what I'm into. I'm pretty knowledgeable on most of these topics that you guys are talking about. So from then there, anytime I could come, I'm here."
Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. It's funny because Crawford went from, man, what is y'all talking about, to dropping some of the most fire takes that we hear on these calls. I was thinking, what rapper would let me say basketball player, because Jamark, we were playing disc golf and he was like, we was playing tennis. He was like, you gotta bring it to me like basketball. If you bring it to me like basketball, it makes sense to me. I was like, okay. So let me think of it. He comes in like a pickup game, and don't tell nobody he's Rod Strickland, or who was just nice with it back in the 90s, like Kendall Gill. You remember Kendall Gill, Jamark? Do you remember Kendall Gill? Oh, Kendall Gill. He don't tell nobody. He's just smooth with it, man. Just dropping dimes, just dropping knowledge everywhere. Seek to understand. We seek to understand. We got to get a pull up of all the times Jamark has done that. But I mean, I think it's just great that we were all able to come in and just, we've created like this little four-way of just knowledge and back and forth of ideas and things that we share. It's really good. I think the people really enjoy it when we drop it out there. So it's definitely good.
Yeah, and I wanted to just throw this in about Jamark's involvement is just like, I think everybody has a unique perspective, and the fact that he, his perspective is more of like how academia is actually structured, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, again, I think it's really tough because so many people don't really know how the schools are structured or how it's supposed to be structured. Like even how he talks about like how materials are pushed in the classroom and how they're supposed to be used.
Yeah.
And versus how they are actually used.
Yeah.
And like the lack of training and support with these resources. So now you got this phenomenal resource, but then the teacher doesn't even know how to use the thing.
Man, you know what? I thought about that's so true. I remember him talking about that like a couple of times, and I immediately thought about having like a Ferrari or a Lambo or a Porsche, and you're giving it to a student who's learning how to drive. You know what I mean? It's like they don't even know the rules of the road. You know what I mean? So there's no way they're going to know about this extra driving mode or this compartment here or this feature here, that function there, and how it can turn your driving from just a normal monotonous task to like an experience, you know, something that's really profound. So he definitely, man, especially when he talks about like how things are done from the district level. Right? Because a lot of times by the time he's done talking, I'm always going, man, so like they've got it up here. So it's not them. Is it where we are, where, you know, where I work at, you know, from the school level, is that where it is? But he's just able to break it down in a way which really makes sense as well, again, because when we have like PLCs and meetings, Crawford has the funniest faces because he knows more than what those who are in charge of the meetings you know, he knows more than them. So they'll be talking, and if you look at Crawford will look at you, Crawford will go, and just turn his head back like, whatever, man. I'm just here, man. I'm just here so I won't get fined. So, you know, after the meeting, you know, that sometimes I'll come and be like, yeah, so what were they talking about when they say that? You know? So, but yeah, it's you know, his perspective is definitely, man, it's on point. It's on point.
Yeah, man, I definitely think it's like having those different vantage points really is helpful to what we do. And David, I see you on here. We'll definitely take some of your questions. But I think we just really wanted to talk about like just the growth that we've experienced and some of the growth that we still expect to experience with LYS. And I mean, to me, I think, you know, at first I kind of questioned, okay, doing this digital format, does it make sense? Or, you know, how does it work out? And it's amazing to me that we've had people reach out to us from Ireland, Nigeria, just, you know, girls from like Georgia or Alabama, you know, obviously Tennessee and Maya, and just different people reach out to us, and to be able to, you know, on this call, give them, you know, purposeful direction that really helps their education make sense, you know, you know, it's a blessing to be able to, in a 30-minute conversation with a person, give them some ideas, and even less than 30 minutes sometimes, give them some ideas on like, okay, what are some steps that they could do to really walk in their purpose and make their education count, you know, and then the bigger thing, avoid all the crazy student loan debt, you know, because a lot of times we just don't know, like, oh, we think, oh yeah, just go to college and you'll figure it out. I'm totally against that mantra, that mindset. It's a dumb mindset. You need to have some general idea of what you're trying to do before you go, right? Because you don't go to the grocery store and be like, you're going to get a meal. You'll figure it out when you get there. You don't do that. You usually have a taste for something. You usually have some things that you like. And you say, okay, that's what's sending me down this aisle, right? Is the fact that my Cocoa Crisp or whatever is on this aisle, right? You don't just go onto the cookie, you know, whatever aisle and just start looking at everything. You got to know, man, I want bread. Okay. So you have to have some distinctions in mind. Okay, what's the healthy bread? Okay, I'm going for the oil wheat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to know these things. And if you don't, you end up spending more money getting food you don't like, right? And wasting your time. And so you wouldn't do it at the grocery store. Why would you do it in your life? You know what I mean? Why would you do it with your college education? You know what I mean? So there's other hacks that people can do. If you don't quite know what you want to do, go get either an interdisciplinary degree or a multidisciplinary degree. Usually it's a few more credit hours, but try to minor in the thing that you're really impressed by. So if you, and David, I'll kind of throw this to you, you know, you like engineering, you like basketball, right? Then say, hey, look, man, I'm gonna study engineering as a minor, but I'm gonna get this multidisciplinary degree, and I'm gonna get so many hours of it in engineering. That way you graduate with a degree, you have a good broad basis of knowledge, right? But you've also focused on what you really wanted to do. And then go work at a tech startup, go work for the NBA, you know, working on lightings, on the courts, on shoes, how to improve shoes for the athletes. You know, go work at, you know, Nike, Adidas, you know, Go buy Reebok and just say, look, I'm redesigning the whole thing. There's so many things that we can do, but we got to be super purposed and intentional on how and why you're doing it. So,
well, on that same subject, last time we talked to David, he was talking about, kind of switching up the purpose or switching up his passion a little bit. Still loves engineering, but he was talking about following his dream of playing basketball. So my first question was, how many days this week have you spent playing basketball or involved yourself in basketball?
Yeah, I played on Monday. Like I went practicing Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Friday.
Okay. That's a good start. That's a good
yeah,
start.
Good start.
So summertime's getting going here. You're about to be a freshman, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so about to be a freshman. Okay. So
Are your practices organized, or you just going out there randomly playing?
Yeah, I just go there by myself. And
Yeah. So your practice sessions need to be organized in a sense of, I'm gonna dedicate this amount of time on my handles, this amount of time rebounding skills, this amount of time on sprinting and getting your conditioning, and this amount of time on shooting and form. So you want to break it down like that, so that, and also defense, where you're shuffling your feet, moving, so you can get used to moving in different situations on the court. So you don't want to just go out and just randomly play. I mean, that's good if you're just having a pickup game, but if you're trying to improve, you want to have a purpose, okay. And you also want to assess yourself with your handles, your shot form, and things of that nature.
yes.
So you know where you can go? You have any ideas to where you can go to set that up for yourself to come up with a plan?
Not really, but I used to play like for an AAU team.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask if I could go back on the team for the summer.
All right. Well, you know what? Thank goodness for Chat GPT. I'm gonna send something to everyone here. Well, I guess I'll send it. I'll send it to everyone. Crawford, if you can, just look over that and see if he needs to change up anything on that, or if there's something you would take out, add, whatever. I just put a basic workout schedule for basketball, because it's definitely true. You want to have, if you look at the greats, well, one of my favorites is Kobe. And if you just look at what he did, he just had the name of the game for Kobe and so many great players was discipline. The difference between, the best player and the fifth or sixth, seventh best player is discipline. Getting up and doing the hard thing, getting up and doing that workout, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when no one's watching, and you could just stay and watch another episode of, I don't know, Wednesday or whatever YouTube channel you like, even though you could do that, you still get up and you still go. That little extra, that's the difference between the best and those that are like right there, right near the best, right? There's so many things that like just athletic gifts can account for. Because if you listen to Kobe, a lot of times he'll say it. He was not the best athletically. He wasn't, but it was just the discipline, the work ethic, the never give up that he had, right? That motor that just kept going. That's what set him apart from the rest. And because of that, forever, we're going to talk about how great Kobe Bryant was. And he's just one example of many. What do you think, Crawford? Add anything, take anything out?
I mean, it's cool for,
Just to start.
Yeah, to start. But I have so many drills for him.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's things he can do. He don't need a court. If you just got a basketball, you can do it at home. And I'm pretty sure you got access to like a timer. So one way you can improve your handles, that way you don't always bug your parents by going to the basketball court. You can do this every single day, and it only takes about 5 minutes. If you'll practice like back on the wall, like in your legs are at a 90-degree angle, like wall sits. You got the ball in your left hand. You put the timer 60 seconds. Then boom, doing on the right hand 60 seconds, and then under your legs 60 seconds. Where if you, depending on your level, if you can't do 60 seconds, you'll start off at 30, then go to 45 once you get better, then go to 60. Right at 60, it's no point in going past 60. And then if you can do that, then you challenge yourself. In your left hand, you have a basketball, right hand tennis ball. Same time. Then switch them. Same time. Okay, then you'll practice doing that. And so it's so many things that you can do. But yeah, it's just you just gotta just practice, and definitely have a plan and learn your weaknesses and make your weakness.
Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS podcast.